We, like, when I say we moved so fast, like we moved, it's like we knew we didn't have a lot of time. We moved so fast, like we moved so fast, like.
R.I.P. PnB, he was in the hood and it got fatal for him, so.
No, the crazy part about it is I was at Roscoe's when it happened, so.
You was in there when the shit happened?
Yo, I was in there when it happened. You can't change your life, because what in the dark must come to the light, sweetheart. It don't matter what you did. It could be 20 years from now.
The setup had started the minute he walked into the restaurant. He's wearing $500,000 in jewelry. There's someone there who spots him, does a fist bump. We see this on the video. He contacts someone else, a father and son team.
Most of you are likely familiar with the tragic death of PnB Rock, which took place at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles back in 2022, a moment that deeply impacted the hip-hop community. Now, 3 years later, the case has unexpectedly resurfaced and has taken a darker turn. Until now, PnB Rock's girlfriend, Stephanie, had remained completely silent about the incident. But recently, she has come forward to share her story. And what she's revealing is unsettling, reopening painful questions that many thought had been put to rest. To add to the tension, Big U is now facing new RICO conspiracy charges, bringing renewed scrutiny not just on him, but on everything surrounding the case. What's even more surprising is that DeathLuceCannon had already made online statements that allegedly placed both himself and Big U at the scene of the shooting. There's a lot developing here, so let's break it all down. First, to provide some background, let's go back to the events of that day. It was September 12th, 2022. PnB Rock and his girlfriend Stephanie had arrived at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in South Los Angeles. While the area is known for being unpredictable, they appeared to be enjoying a normal outing as a couple, until everything took a shocking turn. Out of nowhere, a masked individual entered the restaurant and attempted to rob PnB Rock right in front of other diners. According to Stephanie, the experience felt like a nightmare. She described how PnB instinctively stood up to protect her, going so far as to push her beneath the table to shield her from harm.
Heard was the victim, along with a female witness, were in this area eating at a restaurant when they were approached by at least one suspect who brandished a firearm and demanded property from the victim.
But that wasn't the full extent of it. This incident wasn't just a robbery gone wrong. The assailant didn't simply take the jewelry and leave. PnB Rock was shot multiple times, right there in front of Stephanie and others inside the restaurant. In an emotional Instagram post, Stephanie reflected on what happened, describing PnB's final moments as an act of love that ultimately saved her life. She wrote, "My man saved my life by pushing me under that table. I'm not supposed to be here, but because of him, I am." Eventually, authorities arrested a man named Freddie Lee Trone, along with his teenage son. At the time, reports suggested that Trone had allegedly directed his 17-year-old son to carry out the robbery and take PnB's jewelry. It was later revealed that the teen was also the one who fired the fatal shots. Prosecutors portrayed the incident as a coordinated effort between father and son.
And it was those two that were responsible for the death of PnB. And the whole setup was just to steal all his jewelry.
Mistake that everybody make when it comes down to checking in is either you checking in to get set up and get robbed, or you checking in to get killed.
Trone was eventually found guilty in August 2024. Convicted of first-degree murder, robbery, and conspiracy, he was sentenced to 31 years to life. Case closed, right? Well, not quite. While the legal system seemed to wrap things up neatly, conversations on the streets told a different story. Although Trone and his son were the ones who carried out the act, attention quickly shifted to who might have been behind the scenes directing it all. And that's where Big U and DeathLuceCannon entered the discussion. For those unfamiliar, Big U is a well-known figure in Los Angeles. He's been linked to various street dynamics, and for years there have been ongoing rumors suggesting he holds influence behind the scenes, allegedly determining who can operate in the city and what might happen if someone goes against that control.
Unless you're gonna move around with security, you don't want to have to do that.
Well, yeah,
every time you go out.
100%.
Feel me? Like that should be bro.
People are targets out here, and especially
Niggas tried me out here a couple times, you feel me? Like, I ain't gonna lie. Shit don't never work, you feel me? I be too on point. Like, I'm from the same y'all trying to.
That leads us to the widely discussed check-in controversy. For artists, especially rappers, arriving in Los Angeles, there's often an unspoken expectation to check in with certain local figures. While it's not an official rule, skipping that step can reportedly make you a target. PnB Rock didn't follow that expectation. In interviews, he openly stated that he didn't believe in checking in. He didn't travel with security, and he wasn't going to let fear control how he lived. He even mentioned that his girlfriend didn't feel comfortable wearing her ring in public, and he likened the streets of LA to the video game Grand Theft Auto. And honestly, that comparison reflects just how chaotic things have felt. The same environment he spoke out about eventually became the one that claimed his life.
Dude, scumbag stuff. He sick the police on Nipsey. He act like, oh, it was just
Not checking in made PnB Rock appear vulnerable, or worse, disrespectful. There's been ongoing conversation, both on the streets and online, suggesting that Big U and DeathLuceCannon were upset about it. Then, in early 2024, a video surfaced that shifted the entire narrative. DeathLuceCannon appeared on a podcast and made several bold statements. He strongly implied that both he and Big U were present when PnB was shot. Naturally, this raised serious questions. Why place yourself at the scene of such a serious crime and speak on it so casually? During the same podcast, DeathLuceCannon made additional allegations against Big U. He claimed Big U was involved in supplying weapons to gangs, recording serial numbers, and cooperating with law enforcement. He even went so far as to say that Big Ben, who had an active agreement with police to provide information, essentially accusing him of being a government informant.
Wasn't there kind of like an implication that maybe she was involved in some way on this?
The implication was she had posted a picture from Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles where this happened.
So the location, she's saying where we are.
Where we are, and
yeah.
she posts a picture of the food, the chicken and the waffles, not of them, not that she's with him.
But that's not all. DeathLuceCannon's own twin brother came forward shortly after to walk back everything said on the podcast. Jermaine Williams, Luce's twin, claimed his brother was fabricating stories for clout, and that much of what he shared simply didn't happen. Still, here's the thing. Even if Luce exaggerated or wasn't being truthful, why would he place both himself and Big U at the scene of such a serious event? That's not something to casually mention unless there's a deeper motive, whether it's to shift blame, provoke conflict, or deflect attention. Things only got more complex when Big U, who had previously denied any connection to PnB's case, was named in a federal RICO indictment. The charges were extensive: allegations of extortion, violent offenses, organized crime, and even murder. While PnB Rock wasn't directly named in the court filings, the timing raised questions. The indictment came just months after DeathLuceCannon's interview, prompting many online to start drawing connections, digging up old clips, analyzing interviews, and piecing together what could be a broader picture. Then came the voice no one had heard until now: Stephanie, PnB Rock's girlfriend, who had been right next to him at the restaurant when it all happened. For over 2 years, she remained silent, carrying the weight of grief and trauma. But with all the recent rumors, legal developments, and Luce's controversial podcast appearance, she finally decided to speak out. Her Instagram post struck a chord, not just because of the emotion behind it, but because it gave fresh insight into what unfolded after PnB's death. Stephanie shared that instead of being treated as a victim, she was handled like a suspect. Despite witnessing the man she loved lose his life, she was removed from the restaurant, blocked from entering the ambulance, denied access to the hospital, and interrogated through the night. While still in shock, still holding on to hope he might survive. To make matters worse, some people even tried to place the blame on Stephanie, accusing her of being responsible because she had posted their location on Instagram. But let's be honest, even if that post contributed in some way, it doesn't address the larger underlying issue.
Give it up and then check in with the real people. So we're going to find a jury, and we're going to get it because we know all the pawn shops, we know all the people that's going to melt it down and everything like that. So as soon as it comes on their table, we got it.
On top of everything else, Stephanie didn't even learn that PnB had passed until hours later. She was the last to be informed. She held on to hope, believing he had survived, only for that hope to be taken from her. She had been kept in a room without any answers, as if she were the one under suspicion. She even mentioned that her phone was taken, further making her feel like a suspect rather than a grieving partner. For someone experiencing that level of trauma, it was not just insensitive, it was deeply unsettling. Stephanie also shared insight into who PnB Rock was becoming before his life was cut short. She described a man who was focused, committed to his family, striving to grow, and on a meaningful spiritual path. She spoke about his loyalty, patience, and the love he carried. On the last day they spent together, she told him, "I know you're my husband. I know you're my soulmate." And now, he's gone. To be clear, this situation extends far beyond a robbery or a random street incident. With DeathLuceCannon's recent statements, the timing of Big U's federal indictment, and Stephanie's voice now entering the conversation, people are beginning to view this tragedy from a very different angle. And there's more we have to address: the long-standing speculation surrounding Big U and his alleged involvement in Nipsey Hussle's death. His name has surfaced in that conversation more than once. Officially, Eric Holder was convicted and is serving time. But those more connected to the inner workings of the scene suggest that the tension between Nipsey and Big U ran deeper than was ever shown in the media. And doesn't this situation with PnB Rock feel eerily similar? Think about it. Nipsey allegedly disrespected Big U, and shortly afterward, he was gone. It happened quickly, it was chaotic, and those close to the situation have been quietly discussing it ever since. Now look at PnB. He arrived in LA, didn't check in, moved freely, stayed. Independent, and then he was targeted. His location became public, his jewelry was stolen, and the narrative was that it was simply a robbery gone wrong. But there's more to it. Allegedly, the next step was to tell PnB there was a way to recover his stolen items. And who better to reach out to than someone like Big U, known for his deep connections in the streets? The setup, make it seem like a smooth solution was possible for a price. The typical line, "We know who did it, we can help you get your stuff back." A familiar tactic, but somewhere along the way, things went wrong. Badly, some believe. PnB may have tried to defend himself, possibly reaching for a weapon. Others think the robbers simply panicked. Either way, what may have started as a setup to extort and return valuables ended in tragedy. And ever since, the streets haven't stopped talking.
He will literally, right, do something, right? He gets caught up or whatever,